Hot damn, good evening everybody. Kanal here, Bulls on Wall Street. So a nice day overall for the markets. We did have a fairly significant fade. So these days are tricky to trade. And, we had kind of a few day mini flag, let's say, in the markets, to end last week, as you see over here. And so we were in a real tight consolidation for a few days. And one of the things, right, is when the market comes out of that zone that can give it a pop. But we gapped up really nicely and then had our push. And so that kind of took some of the fun out of it. As gap days are really tricky, especially when you gap up, nearly 1% or so. That kind of limits your upside. As right nearly, if you're looking at this, right, nearly the high of the day was made right at the open. And, we did come back down and make another push. But once lunchtime hit, it was a really steady drift down. And so that made the afternoon trading a little bit tricky, as so much of the stuff that you're watching, because you're watching it, but it's already popped huge, right? You just start fading the rest of the day. That gives it that really makes you have to have perfect setups to really nail it, because it's hard to fight the market after such a gap up. So a little bit of a tricky day to trade, but there were still some stocks, especially a lot of the PR stocks and stuff like that. There were still some things to trade. And, I expect tomorrow we'll still have the same type of action. A little bit of rest in the market is okay. We ran smack dab, right, kind of into resistance here. And so that's going to cause the market to pause. That's not that big of a deal in the meantime. A few rest days will actually give us some real bullish action on some stocks. So my favorite days to really trade on the market are flat days. That seems to be the days, especially after a couple big up days. That seems to be the day that all the nice breakouts happen of recent. Watch list, Fang, I got this one on watch here for a flag breakout. Omer, put this on watch here for just day trades. There could be some longs or shorts in this bad boy. I mean, it closed pretty much at the high of the day, so this thing might gap up to 9 or so, and then we'll see how it plays out. There might be a parabolic short into it. If not, if it opens up weak, there might actually be some longs if it can flush out really quickly. Finisar, I've been watching this one for a while, see if it holds this kind of 23 mark. You can see here, right, this was its old breakout spot, and it's just resting back on it. And so as long as it can hold this area, there might be actually a trade in this. Ruckus, we've been flagging here for, the last few days after this pop. This 17 mark is really going to be the resistance on it. So if it can come out of that, it's got to clear that 1720 high, but it could be another continuation. Zoom, I like the look of this stock. After this pop, we've had a few rest days here. I think that this one's getting ready to come back and test that kind of 34 area. FLTX, so this has been an IPO stock from late 2012. Just really been on a monster run. We've had a nice kind of 10% plus correction. Fairly low volume. It's been fairly orderly. I would anticipate, see this zone over here is really a previous kind of breakout spot. I would anticipate that this zone over here can get some traction, and we might get a bounce in it. A CVO, this one is a little bit tricky. We've got like a range break on this thing, but if you're looking, closer, it's a little bit sloppy on its recent price action, so it might be a little bit tricky to trade. But that range break, it's got to be respected. It could do some damage. CYD, this is a Chinese stock that's really been just flagging above 22. Watch the rest of the Chinese stocks. If they start making a run, something like this will break its flag. PRFT, I think that this one does need a little bit more time to kind of set up here, but a few more days of sideways movement I think should give it enough coil and rest for it to really make a run. Dang, I tried this today and sold flat. I like the location on this, especially with the runs and You know, Sohu today was up 7.5%. Yoku's been up really nicely of recent. It didn't go today. I suspect some of it had to do with, you know, the drop in Kihu, and then Sohu itself was getting weak for a while, and Yoku faded big time. So we didn't really get the push that we needed to in this, but keep an eye. Today's high, I believe, was 930. So you know, if we can come out of this range and take that out, that could be a nice push. NXT, this is, you know, a former momentum stock, a former big momentum stock here, and it's totally kind of fallen by the wayside the last few months, but it's really coiled up here. Again, watch this kind of trend line here. If it can break that, I would not be surprised to see a very quick run at 37.50 and then back to highs. KKD, if the market gets nasty, this looks like a, you know, essentially a bear flag. We're kind of having just kind of a low volume drift back to a resistance level. MDGN, you know, I'll probably take this one off my list. You know, it's a little bit more, when I zoomed in, it was a little bit more thin than I thought. I had originally put on my list on a more of an elongated view. I saw a base breakout that could run to 5, but it's probably a little bit too thin for me to get any size in it. So I'm taking off the list. Aria, you know, after this monster run from 17 to 23, we're kind of coming back here. I'll be watching this $20 area for a potential bounce. Tear. Tear's really coiling up here, so the range is really contracting here. I think if it can push over 13, that could set it back on its run. You know, first target 14, then highs. GMCR also been coiling up here. It's trying to break, and it kind of keeps fading back a little bit, but overall, it's just consolidating now for nearly a month. You know that you know, it's a big momentum stock. So if it can come out of this range, it should get some traction. ZQK, this one's kind of trading like crap, but my thinking is if it can just hold this 650 area, at some point, you know, we should get the push. It might not be ready now, but this is a move that you want to take. You know, this move from here to here was a 40% plus with monster volume. That type of earnings breakout has to be respected. It did run smack dab into resistance, and so it kind of faded back a little bit. But we've got a nice zone of support here into the 650 level, and so that if that can hold, I think that we've got a possibility for some more action in this. Perry, take this one off the list. And YRCW, I'm not that fond of this one either. TPRE, you know, this one came out of a consolidation today. I suspect, I'll put this on my watch for day trading. I suspect that this type of stock, it's a recent IPO stock that's consolidated its first days. They can make tests back to highs. So, you know, these things can move very, very explosively. You know, one of the stocks that we were watching in the chat room was this RGDO, which is an IPO stock too. When it came out of consolidation today, it really made a nice move. Geez, you know, that was really the play of the day. And, you know, you never know with these IPO stocks, so I want to keep it on my list. I'll watch the action for a day. I just found this stock today on one of my scans, so I don't know much about it yet. But I'll be watching it tomorrow to kind of get a gauge of the price action, the behavior of the stock, to see if it's even something that's tradable. But it is, then, you know, this could be something that's got some legs to it. So that's it for now, guys. I will see you guys all tomorrow. We had a decent day in the chat room. These gap up days are really tricky, but you know, if you can eke out some gains, that's a good thing. And if you can eke out a decent amount of gains, then that's a great thing. So keep up the good work, everybody, and I will see you all tomorrow. Peace.